My name is Emily Waiwu, just so we get this out of the way. Now, today, sitting here with Chef Andre.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to read this just so I don't get this wrong.
Okay.
Chef Andre, to date, is the only ethnic Chinese chef to make the world's 50 best restaurant list. He is Taiwan's first Michelin-starred chef. Born in Taipei, trained in France, he got his 2-star Michelin while in Singapore. In 2014, he opened Raw in Taipei before Michelin even came to Taipei. Taiwan has seen a very exciting surge on the culinary scene the last 6 years, and I think Raw had a little bit to do with that. But in 2018, Chef Andre closed his restaurant in Singapore, Restaurant Andre. The restaurant at the time was recognized as Asia's second best. And he came home to Taiwan. So today we're sitting together at Blossom Cafe in downtown Taipei. Thank you so much for coming, Chef Andre.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really looking forward to show everyone where the Andre and His Olive Tree documentary and give everyone more insight of the whole process of how we made this documentary and what message we're trying to deliver.
So Chef, it's been 2 years since the film.
Yes. You
and your wife Pam are now back in Taiwan. You're
Yeah.
living in the beautiful countryside of Yilan.
Yes.
What has life been like?
It's quite interesting. It's kind of reconnect to Taiwan and reconnect to the land. Part of it I'm really familiar because I grew up with, and the other part is for me it's totally new because I left when I was 13. So it's kind of go back to see an old friend that you haven't seen for 20-30 years, and it's interesting. And for my wife it's a brand new experience. Living in the countryside, and we enjoyed it. We just actually did a Taiwan tour.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so just try to reconnect to the land. It's important to us, and to really introduce Taiwan to my wife.
So the film was a celebration of your art, your life, your work of 30 years. But in a way, it was a film about letting go. What did this documentary mean to you?
For me, definitely it's the most important part of my entire 30 years culinary career, because that's my biggest decision. Decide to close Restaurant Andre and come back to Taiwan. It means a lot because we really at that point realized what's the most important things, or what's the priority to our life. It's not just about getting any more stars. It's not just about getting the higher ranking that we could possibly get, but to really understand that the perfect moment of we create a masterpiece for the past 10 years. In a different part of our life, we kind of have different priorities, and you always, when you have a house, you want a bigger house, and you want to have a car, you want a bigger car, and suddenly you kind of lost and start to realize, what am I doing this? Or the other way, that everything's just went super well, and you're just chasing and looking for that triumph, or that make you happy. But at the end of the day, what makes you really happy? And it just happened. It just happened when the day comes and we realize that this is perfect. This is the moment, and so we decide to let go and come back to Taiwan and really find out our true happiness and how to pass on that passion to the next generation.
Yeah. A couple of things you mentioned there, I want to ask you more later about happiness. So I watched the film myself in August during your premiere. First of all, everybody walked out just impressed by everything you said, by, I think, beautiful film, beautiful soul, beautiful art, beautiful community that you created. I think it was very touching. But yet, everybody still wants to know why you left. Now, I'm not going to ask you why, but I do want to get a sense from you what it was like to have to make that decision.
I'm sure that in that documentary, everybody saw them that night. At the end of the service, I call everyone up and then I announced that we're gonna close the restaurant. Before that day, no one knows. Every day is just like the same. Okay, but what happened that morning? So that morning was, unfortunately, was not in the film because the crew was not there that morning. But I feel that we're lucky that we get the last part, the most important part. Well announced, the team was there, because everything just like so spontaneous, right? We can't expect, or they can't expect what's gonna happen because it's a documentary, it's not a film.
But at that point, they had been following you for 2 months already?
Yeah. So that morning it was just like the same day. I kind of came in from the back and I checked everything in the kitchen. Everything just perfect. The food, everyone knows what to do. Then I walk into the restaurant. Some are cleaning the glass, some are wiping the floor. They adjust everything from what they know. And normally, on a normal day, you will find that the sauce is a little bit too salty. That's adjusted, or the quality of the ingredient was not as what you expected, or there will always be 1 or 2 things wrong, and then you adjust it. And that day everything just went perfect. So I suddenly realized that I got nothing to do. Say, okay, so what I'm gonna do? They know what they're gonna do. Everything is just as good as it should. Then I found a couch, and I sit down in the restaurant and I look at it, and I call my wife to sit next to me. I said, look, this is perfect. She said, yeah. I said, so this is it. And she stopped for like 2 seconds and she said, and that's it. She kind of know that, this is the moment that we're looking for. And even the weather was just so perfect that day. And that's the 0.1% that we're looking for every single day for that moment. So yeah, and then we did the service as every day, and after that service we called, and she kind of prepared, but it was just, the impact was just too overwhelmed. And then I just say, okay, we're gonna close the restaurants, because I had the most wonderful day that I've been looking for, and it is today. Well, it's emotional sometimes.
It was beautiful. I mean, the film began with that scene, and
yes.
The filmmaker did a brilliant thing where, just going in, you then know to expect a great story coming through just by the way your staff responded, how you spoke, and it was really touching. But then the way that the story came back to this,
yes,
beautiful wrap.
And I think the most beautiful part of the documentary is that it's not a successful story of Andre Chiang, but it's more of, after the announcement, you saw that everyone has different reaction to it, and the crew didn't stop filming, so we continue. From that day onwards, he started to interview every single person that, how do you feel? And everybody has different reactions. Some were sad, some were angry, or why. So this documentary is about every story from the brigade. That makes Restaurant Andre. It's not just Andre himself.
Yeah.
So I think that's the beautiful part, that we see from a different perspective from Andre's story until everyone's story. Everyone came to this place with a different dream. Yeah, and this documentary kind of shows it.
But that's the thing. Everybody came to you with a different dream.
Yes.
Did you have to consider that when you were making that decision? How scary was it to make that?
Well, I guess it's also a lesson or a life experience, and I want them to really understand. I think some of them, they came with an expectation that, yeah, you know, I want to be like Andre. I want to be the world's best chef. You know, I want to be like him. I want to be as cool as him. But I hope I can give them a life lessons. It's not just about the rankings. It's not just about how many stars we get. It's are you happy of doing it, or what are you looking for? And they all come from different places around the world. They're from France, from Italy, from Korea, from Philippines, and at the end of the day, they're going back to their own homeland. And what would they change the environment? Did they bring anything back to their homeland? And I hope I can teach them that more than just cooking.
So in the film, you had mentioned that somebody said, I want to be just a Michelin chef like you, right? Be as cool as you, be as brilliant as you. And you told them, no, just be a happy chef.
Yes.
What did that mean?
We started our career by passionate of what we do, but along the way, that purpose kind of change or evolve. I'm not sure that you want to get better, then you want to be competitive, then you want to be the best, you want to get certain awards, and that priorities kind of shifted from your passion, your intention. So then how far are we going to go from this? Yeah, they will never be enough. They will never be, you will never be happy because there will always someone in front of you. There's always something bigger. So what is it? So I guess this documentary kind of, I hope that everyone go back and think about what is the original intention, and to pull it back and or give a pause and say, yeah, why I'm doing this, or am I on the right track? What really makes me get into this business? What makes me really happy every day? Every day I was just happy in the kitchen when I was a kid. The moment I get into the kitchen, I'm happy. But what changed that during, you know, when you grow up? What has changed that thing? So yeah, I want to go back to where I was before. I want to be the kid that get into the kitchen, and I'm happy already. It's not because of the rankings or awards or triumph.
Yeah, you mentioned you as a young chef. You left Taipei at age 13 to pursue. Did you know it was going to be a career in culinary? You just thought you wanted to be a chef. But then the question I wanted to ask you is, given now your advice to chef to be a happy chef, what would you tell your 13-year-old self? You're about to embark on this amazing training. What would you tell yourself?
I love challenges. The reason that I left Taiwan at the age of 13 is I want to see more. I want to learn as much as I could. That's why I went to Japan. And after I see the Iron Chef in Japan, I was at Fuji Television at the time, and I thought that, wow, even an Asian chef can cook such a great French cuisine, and I want to be like him. And that's why I told my mom that I want to go to France. I want to learn French cuisine. Just go ahead and do that one thing, makes you happy, makes you, wake up every day, you're just eager to just run out of the door and grab it. Yeah. Even until today, I'm still telling myself this.
Do you have tricks to, I mean, sometimes things get really hard and you wake up and you don't want to do it, or you want to take a break. What's your trick to get by?
Yes, of course. And the advice that I gave to every single person is that go back to your original intention and you will find the answer. Like why you start, or why I'm getting into this business, and what was that first intention that I'm doing what I'm doing now. And sometimes you found the answer, most of the time.
So as you said, you're born Taiwanese. You grew up in Michelin, just north of here. You left home at age of 13. You went to Japan. You went to France. You made a name for yourself in Singapore. That is a lot of years away. 30 years away.
Yes.
A citizen of the world. What was the idea of home like to you? What is the notion of home mean to you? I mean, this question goes out to, I think, a lot of the Taiwanese Americans abroad, or just Taiwanese people abroad.
Well, I guess it's a way of looking at it. First is the past 30 years, no matter where I am, I always have a bowl of rice in my fridge. And for me, that is home. It sounds weird, but you know, if I didn't have bowl of rice the entire day, I'm actually okay. But the moment I got home, I will steam even just a spoon of rice. And that's it. For me, that completes the day, and that is home. So yeah, I guess that's in my DNA. Then I need to have rice every day. If I didn't have it today, and when I got home, I'll cook it, and then I'll just have plain rice as it is, and then I feel, yeah, that's home. In my profession, where is home? It's hard to really define, because I was born in Taiwan, and then I started in Japan. I spent most of my time in France, then Singapore. I built up my career. So they all been an important path to my career. But for me, what is home is the moment that I feel I'm connected to the land. Whether it's the weather or the produce or the flavor, I feel I'm connected to the land, and that's where I feel comfortable to live in, and comfortable to create, because I feel connected to the season, the food, the flavor. Then I can create. So that's where I feel I'm home. Yeah.
So I also left Taiwan, same age, 12. And for a long time, friends would ask me, how did you deal with homesickness? And the thing was, I didn't get homesick. I think as a teenager, you want to be out. It's exciting exploring the world. Yeah. But I do remember that one moment, the first time I got homesick. What was that for you?
I tried to forget it or get used to no matter where I am. I guess that's the DNA, or that's me. You can only create when you feel connected to the land, or you can only create when you feel that you're home, or you belong here. But yeah, my job was quite intense, so that is something that calms me down whenever I feel that anxious or not that comfortable with the environment and everything.
Yeah, I think for me,
I give myself a bowl of rice.
Yeah, it was when we slowed down. I was sick. I was sick one weekend, fever or something, and then I realized I missed mom's cooking, and then it hit me that's what homesickness was. Yeah. At least for me. And
yes, it is.
Okay, let's talk about some of the fun stuff.
Yes.
This is also something that you are famed for, and we got a snippet of this in the film because the film was actually structured this way. It's your octo philosophy. It's the backbone of your creative process.
Yeah, well, octo philosophy is basically very simple. It's the 8 elements, 8 principles that when I create anything, a dish, a concept, an environment, and you always related to that the 8 things that most relevant or most important, essential to you. And for me, is that.
Can we have you name the 8? Because it came out as a book form. It was written.
Yes.
And then we see it in the film as captions. But I don't think we've heard you say, or at least I have not heard you say these 8 words.
Okay.
Can I hear just how it sounds like in your head, I think?
Okay. In this 8 elements is never in the same sequence. Okay. But that's the 8 things that when I create, you always come up with one after another, which, for example, this dish we focus on texture. The other dish we focus on South I refer for the south of France, where I spend most of my time in France. And then this dish focus on unique or pure memories, etc. Okay, and why this 8 element? Why not 9 or 7 or 6? No, I don't know why. In fact, when I first come up with the idea, it's for 2 things. First is I realized that we sit down in a proper dining experience. It took you for about 2 to 2.5 hours proper dinner, and it seemed like you're looking for you watch a movie. So with that 2 to 2.5 hour, what kind of experience that I want to take you through? You need to have your setting, you need to have your script, you need to have actor, actress that come out in a different timing. So I see my 8 dishes as the actors and actress. So some has to be sophisticated, some are funny, some are serious, some you feel you could interact with, and that's how you make an interesting story within that 2 hours. So that's how I see myself, more a curator or a director of the movie, and then these 8 element is my team. So that's how that's how I started. So I never name my dish in pan-fried steaks with black pepper sauce. Or they just salt, elements of salt, the elements of pure, elements of south, and then textures. So yeah, I feel it's clearer. You focus on one thing on a dish. Sometimes it's very philosophical, but it's actually very easy to understand. If I just tell you salt, you will look for the salty element in the dish. If I tell you texture, you're looking for texture in that dish. So we are experiencing this journey together. It's just like a movie. You are experiencing the journey together with me. It's not me telling you everything, what's on the plate.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's just a curation of the taste of life, right? The different ones.
Yeah, and you don't want to know the end of the story when you start a movie, right? And so same as our menu. So our menu only have these 8 words, and that covers everything. So I thought that should be a way of dining experience that we try to deliver.
So the 8 are unique, texture, memory,
yes,
pure, terroir, salt, south, and artisan.
yes.
Now that you're on a different phase of your creative career, is there going to be a 9th?
No. No. I think 8 is a good number. So when I first think about an octagon, I refer to the Taiwanese bagua, right? You have 8 different elements that they're against each other. We have water and fire, wind and thunders, and etc. And they are just so opposite characteristic, and yet when you put this 8 element together, it represents balance. And only when a experience is balanced, that was exactly what you're looking for. You want every single dish to have very strong character or message, but once you put these 8 together and it's balanced. And I thought that is so cool, and that is so Asian, and that's how I like it. So, and that was one day that I came up with Alto Philosophy, and that's how I said, okay, since day one, that's how I want to put that together. Actually, my wife told me I wrote so many things about it, and she looked at it. She said, then why don't you just use what you have and tell people what this is, not just put it in your brain, you know, it's just Alto Philosophy, then you just call it Alto Philosophy. Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting her very briefly at the premiere.
Okay.
She was such a beautiful woman. so beautiful. But is it fair to say that the Octo Philosophy, it is the backbone of your creative process, but if we were to have an Octo Philosophy for life, what would that look like?
I would say it's just like this documentary. Director Josiah especially made this documentary like a book. So you were going through chapter after chapter, and there's no certain priority or which one should come up first, but you realize that in every chapter that you have your sweat and tears, and then you have some memory parts, and then sometimes you just come up with very simple ideas about craft and artisans, the pureness of life or happiness. And I guess that reflects to everyone's life as well.
Yeah. I guess, so you wouldn't necessarily swap the words, happiness, for example, or that.
No. But that's the 8 words that I come up with. I think everyone have their own 8 words that means the most to them. Yeah, and so find your Alto Philosophy.
You are a dominating figure in the culinary scene. You're an inspiration for a Taiwanese born who want to do really well and stand out in the world. But to me, after watching the film, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think it was your dedication to educating and nurturing the next generation that really, really moved me. You saw that there was a change that needed to happen, and you want to be the one to do it. That is very, very inspiring to me. Earlier this year, you told TACL magazine that, quote, "At this point, I know exactly what I want in life, and that clarity will guide me." Can you talk a bit about that? What is that clarity, and what do you want in life now?
So I guess in a different part of our career, we focus on different goal, but the advice that I would give to everyone is don't get distracted, be focused. That's what I always do in my career, and I think this point of my career is to give back to all my know-how, all my knowledge to the next generation. And I always thinking that when I was at their age, I just want to be the best of the best. But now I realize that if I could give them more experience or more guidance, they would have no more. Especially now I look back, I didn't know much about Taiwan. I didn't know about what is Taiwanese cuisine and what is Taiwanese spices, combination, flavor, color. But I hope that when they start their culinary career, they should know that no matter where they go, they know how to introduce themselves. They know how to introduce our own cultures and culinary technique to different part of the world. So that's how I feel that it's so important to come back and do this.
Would it be fair to summarize it as that it's not just talent or hard work, but that it's really important to know where you come from and who you are?
Yes, and and stay focused. I think nowadays that we have too many distractions from different medias, informations, and sometimes that kind of distracted from what we're trying to do. So the clarity I'm talking about is really to focus on our intention of what we try to achieve without being distracted by the world or opinions or what people think you are.
Yeah, to even see that clarity for yourself, I think it's special. But to be able to help somebody else see it because you've been there, so you can kind of nudge them that way and help them see it maybe quicker. And coming home or moving away, it is a very, very scary decision. It often means giving up a part of your life because you need to make room for something else. For the Taiwanese out there and the Taiwanese American second generations out there who are thinking of coming home, but are scared or don't know whether it'll be worth it to take that plunge, to take that chance, to make that change, even if it doesn't make sense to the world. What can you tell them?
The name of this documentary, Chuxin, right? The original intention. So what was that one thing that's important to you, or why makes you make the decision of going abroad or coming back? And I guess in a different time of our life, our list of priority is changing. It's constantly changing. And so what was that one thing the most is essential to you? So when every time I'm scared or I doubt of my every move, I always go back to and ask myself what was the original intention before I even came here. So yeah, that gave me an idea of where should I go? Should I make that decision? Should I make the move? They won't be the same answer to everyone. Yeah. But I think that really helped. What was your Tsushin to the future?
Something you said there, maybe I'm wondering about something.
Okay.
You talked about your self-doubt. From the film and from talking with you today, you're very calming, very, very calming presence. You seem very assured of your decisions. You don't strike me as somebody, you never did in your, I think, what we see on screen or in magazines, as somebody who goes through a lot of self-doubt.
I rarely have self-doubt. It's simply because I think everyone has a talent. God give us a talent for each person, and sometimes we're good at this, we're not good at that. That's okay. So I simply focus on the things I'm good at. Or onto the people say, Andre, you're very good at this. Then, okay, I'm gonna do it. Second is practice. I practice a lot. So before I'm on anything, I practice. Before I create a dish in the restaurant, I practice 1,000 times before that reach to the first customer. That's something that I believe. So if you go through that process, you hardly miss it, I guess. So in a way, it is simple. It is simple. I believe that I trust my team because they all have something that I don't have. So we have to deliver together to go to get where we want to go. So that's the same thing that I told them. So they all have something that's better than I do. Then I know what I'm good at, and we just put all the best on the table. Then we make it happen. So I hardly had the self-doubt. I hope everyone could think this way as well.
Real final question is, when will you announce what your next move is?
I don't know what my next move actually. Basically, I focus a lot on education. I feel that now the world is changing. We're not just teaching our young generation how to roast a chicken, how to cut, how to fry a piece of fish, but being a chef or in the culinary world, you need to learn color, you need to learn calculation, you need to learn concept, strategy, creativity, trends, aesthetic. There are so many things that we don't teach at school, and that it's so important for being a chef. So yeah, I'm preparing all that. Hopefully that we could have a different program for the younger generation that wants to be a chef, and they can have more tools before they really get into the real competition. Yeah, so that's something that I'm doing right now.
That sounds wonderful. I'm sure this means we'll see a lot of kind of your legacies pop up everywhere in Taiwan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you,
being
Emily.
here today. And goodbye from Taipei.